We're approaching now, about 2 miles into the walk. This is the area when I first started cycling again. This was as far as I could get, and I thought it was quite an achievement. I would get here, I'd be sweating, puffing, panting, needed a drink, hungry, and like I say, it's only a couple of miles in. And then I'll sort of sit on the bank here, chill out for half an hour to an hour, just taking the sights, because it is really beautiful down here, and it's really relaxing because you've got the sounds of the river and the weir over there. When it's actually running, you can hear that trickling constantly. It's really, really nice. Over the back you've got an industrial estate, but you couldn't really hear it over the water, which was nice. Little did I realise that within probably 2 to 3 months this would be nothing, this section. As I sort of built myself up over, I think it took me about 3 months or so, and I was knocking out 30 miles here, 30 miles there, upped it to 50. It was getting more and more regular, so it'd be once a week to twice a week to 3 times a week to 4 times a week, to a constant sort of like, well, some weeks I was doing it 7 days a week, 30 miles a day, or more. But yeah, it's good, and it's amazing the amount of areas I've travelled, explored around. So I still haven't touched the surface of anything around here, but there's a whole country that needs to be seen in the same fashion as well. So we'll see where things go in the next year or so, but hopefully I'll be branching out into further afield areas, as I've sort of stuck to a 30-mile radius. But I'll stop here just over from the lock. We've got a Yorkstone here, we've got a limestone chalk and another limestone chalk. Sure signs that a building once stood there, which makes sense, right on the edge of a lock. Obviously these locks weren't here. I think these ones were built in, I think it's about 1780 if I remember correctly. Like a lot of them, I don't know whether they're the actual build dates or whether they're the dates they were founded. I've not really looked into them too far. Like I say, I stopped spending too much time researching and just started taking in the world around me without reading too much anymore. But yeah, it's so beautiful down here. There we go. What we got here? There's a corner. It's a cornerstone, I was saying. It's got probably nothing. Here we are approaching the second pillbox for the day. Didn't actually know this one was here. This one was shrouded in trees before. I just caught that out of the corner of my eye, and I so happened to need to have a wee, so it was kind of ideal. I mean, they are what they are. They're just a round box with round building. That's all they are. Have a ganders. It appears it may be in use. Apparently police patrol this area. Oh, it seems someone's staying in this one. Yeah, someone's staying in here. That's fair enough, really. They're dry. I wouldn't say they're warm, but they're dry. Like I say, it's one of the richest areas around here, and you have homeless people sleeping in World War II pillboxes. It's not right, is it? It really isn't right. First tooth that's really stood out to me this morning, and just happens to be as I was just walking through a sty. It was just there, stood right out like a sore thumb. Where we're coming up to now, this is a lovely little section. This when I started out cycling, this was the next waypoint. Once I'd done the lock for a week, I think it was, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a bit longer, this was the next stop. There's a little beach area up here. This is about maybe 4 miles out from where I was coming from. So I was sort of up to sort of like 8 miles, and I could come and sit down here. If I remember correctly, it was around about April-ish, about April, and it was quite sunny and warm. The leaves were starting to grow on the trees, birds were sort of starting to chirp again. It's a lovely little bay here, but it's very much a dog bay. You sit down there, you're going to have dogs jumping up and down and running around you. It was just how it was, but it is lovely. This was a little spot that I was going to sit at. Seems to have eroded somewhat since I was coming down here. There was a nice little sandy bay here. I don't know what's happened. It seems to have just, either the water's a lot higher, it might be the water's a lot higher, because it has rained a lot over the last few days. It rained a lot last night. But yeah, it was a lovely little sandy bay. I used to come and sit down here. Yeah, seems like so long ago, but it's maybe, like I say, a year and a half. It might be longer. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. A year and 8 months, 9 months. It's quite a while, I suppose. But yeah, it's really nice. I've come into an area where there seems to be a lot of teeth. There seems to be a few down here. Yeah, I'm just approaching what is, it's an old medieval village again, and Victorian, now changed into crappy glass. Another big tooth. I've come across a few of these ones. I don't know what they'll be out of. It must be some sort of like big, I think, herbivore, like a tree-eating herbivore. Something big though. I mean, if they are dinosaurs, something like an iguanodon or something like that. Once again, it's just speculation. But yeah, I mean, you can tell the hallmarks. They've got the triangle running down, and then that seems to be like the thing that catches my attention first, and then once I look at it a bit harder, you can just see what it was. I mentioned I couldn't get to sleep for hours last night because I was thinking about why all this ballast layer is so far close to the surface, and what occurred to me is that a big earthquake could cause that, like a worldwide, well, maybe not, but something big enough to affect England here, or this area. A big earthquake could cause liquefaction. So effectively, if you get a sieve full of dirt, full of stones, and sieve it, what will happen, some things will sink into it and smaller things will rise to the surface. So I'm wondering if that's what happened, and it brought all of this ballast layer up a little bit higher than it should be, and things that were originally on the surface then either sank or moved completely. It's just a thought, but it's taxing my mind. I can't let go of the reasoning behind why we have so much of a ballast layer on the surface everywhere, straight onto sand, because it doesn't make sense to me. Not with we're talking centuries and centuries and centuries of plant waste, animals, human living on surface. There should be layers and layers and layers of dirt before you hit the ballast layer, which in my line of work building, when you're digging footings in housing estates and things, generally that's the case. You've got, I mean, around these parts in this area, we had to go, oh god, fucking hell, I think it was about 8 foot down before we could start pouring concrete, before we found any sort of ballast layer. So that's 8 foot of dirt, and there was a little bit of claggy clay at the bottom. But we had to just keep digging and digging and digging and digging. But that was at the bottom of one of these hills here. So, like I say, so if you've got hills and valleys in the area and something's shifted to dirt, it's then come down the hill. That's where you get your mud flood properties. So, or your properties on the hills. You've got, you know, you've got half revealed windows, half revealed doorways, dotted all over the place, where the bottom half of the buildings are buried. At the bottom, you've lost entire buildings. There might only be the first, you know, the top floor revealed, which was the dig outs that happened in the 1800s. So it's just thought. But that would reveal the ballast layer on the hills and things. But, right, I'm about to reach the next pillbox.